How do you help someone out of a victim mentality?
Great question. I've wrestled with this for a while because it's tough. You can't own someone else's future and
Mm.
success. You can't tell someone what to do. You show them. People don't learn from what they hear. They learn from what they see.
Imagine having direct access to someone who's navigated life's toughest terrains and come out stronger. Someone who's been there, done that, and can guide you with empathy, experience, and honesty. This isn't just advice. It's a lifeline, a strategy session, a chance to learn from my journey so you can accelerate yours. Without the ability to be self-aware and introspective, the ability for you to get to where you want to go, nearly impossible.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the David Guttman podcast. If you like the content, like, subscribe, and share. Appreciate it. Really interesting guest today, Jarvis Leverson. Am I pronouncing that right?
That's correct.
So, a productivity and performance coach. Maybe talk a little bit about how you got into that and, maybe what got you in sort of the entrepreneurial bug to bite you in the first place.
Yeah. Thanks for inviting me, by the way, former wrestler. So
Yeah.
we share that.
You're a former wrestler too?
Yeah. I
Okay.
wrestled all the way up until college. I didn't, when I went to college, I went the academic route.
Okay.
But I was a four letterman, did track, football, wrestling, baseball, all the way
Okay.
into college.
Nice.
So yeah, I know the grind. But I had no ambition to be an entrepreneur. It kind of slapped me in the face. I became a productivity coach, or really out of desperation to fix my own life.
Hmm.
I'll kind of take you back a little bit.
Sure.
I was a pretty high achiever all my life. I played sports. I went to school for computer engineering. When I graduated, I went right into the tech space and did sales for a tech company for 15 years, President's Club sales rep. Made a lot of money, moved to San Diego. I met this beautiful girl and had this beautiful penthouse condo overlooking the water on one side and the downtown skyline on the other side. We're doing these fancy dinner parties. We were kind of like these socialites. And everything in my life looked really like well put together. It looked perfect. Looked like I had it all. Anyone looking from the outside in would say that I had more than most. But for some reason, I would just wake up and I just felt like, and one day I just asked myself, like, is this it? Like, I didn't feel fulfilled. Like you always have this vision of, man, when I get there, boy, that's when I'm going to be happy. Like,
Right.
all I need is this. All I need is, gosh, if I just had that, or if I just had what they had, boy, then I'd be satisfied. And I got there and I wasn't.
Mm.
And so I started this kind of like desperate attempt to fill the void, to seek fulfillment. And I started filling it with the wrong things: going out and drinking and partying, hanging with friends, alcohol, drugs. Like, my life just became kind of these fleeting moments of looking for the next opportunity to go out and splurge and overindulge. And my life started to unravel. And so within the company I was working for, I was the number one sales rep in the company. And within 1 year, I went from the number one sales rep all the way down to the last place was sales rep. I'm coming in hungover. I'm not really performing at work. I'm not performing at home. I'm staying.
What age were you when the kind of this?
This is about 35. I was about
Okay.
35 years old.
Okay.
Kind of like I call it like a quarter life crisis.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't good in work. I wasn't good at home. I wasn't good to myself. And I remember, so within 1 week, I got let go from my job. And, that same week, me and my girl at the time decided that we shouldn't be together anymore. And I packed up my things and I walked out with a duffel bag. I left the penthouse with a duffel bag, and I was walking the streets of San Diego with nowhere to go. And
Wow.
I was knocking on friends' doors, literally knocking on their door, asking, hey, can I sleep on your floor tonight? And I did that for 3 months, bouncing around from friend to friend until I wore out my welcome, until eventually I had to move back. I had to go back home to Chicago with my tail between my legs and move in with my mom in her basement. So there was, as a 35-year-old man, completely busted, living in my mom's basement. And as a man, that's like the biggest blow to your pride to have
Right.
to move back in with your parents, especially after you've tasted success.
All right, so you're 35. The shit. It's a shit storm. You move back into your mom's basement. You know, please tell me there's a comeback story here.
Yeah, yeah. So so there I am, and you would think that's my rock bottom, but it wasn't.
Okay.
Several things also happened. I tore my Achilles, and so I'm there. Not only am I kind of in my mom's basement, I'm actually like incapacitated because my leg is in a full cast. Like the second day after I moved back there, I went and played basketball and I tore
Oh
my
my
Achilles.
God.
So I'm laid there with my leg elevated in on the couch, can't move at all. And then I get a text notification from LinkedIn says, "Hey, go check out Eric's new profile or his new job, his new job." And so Eric was my lab partner when I was in engineering school. So the way at the University of Illinois, the way it worked was you get paired with a buddy and you take the classes together. Like the school, they're so hard, you have to do it as a team.
Yeah.
And so you do all the labs together, you do the assignments, you do the take-home quizzes. And so he was my lab partner. And so we kind of like traversed through the program together. We got the same grades. We graduated. We both went to the tech space. We were on the exact same trajectories in life. We had the same access, the same resources, the same everything. And so here it is 15 years later, and LinkedIn is saying, "Hey, go check out Eric's new job promotion." And I hadn't seen or heard from Eric since we graduated. And so I go and I click on his profile and I see in bright, bold letters, Chief Technology Officer of this boutique software firm. And then I go to this Instagram, and now I'm in full stalk mode, right? I go on his Instagram and I'm looking at all this lavish lifestyle he's living. They got a lake house, they've got a boat, they're going on like, he's got a beautiful family, they're going on vacations. He's not only that, but like he sits on the boards of charities. He's just a great steward of society. And there I was, a waste of space, laid up in my mom's basement. And it was like the Lord was showing me. It was like literally the Lord was showing me. He's like, "Jarvis, this is the life I had lined up for you. You have all the same access, all the same resources, all the same skills, all the same talent, the same education, the same knowledge. You have everything. I gifted you with everything that I gifted him, and look what you're doing with it." It was like it was showing me my lost potential, who I could have been. It was like a mirror moment. And it was like that moment, the Lord would say, "Jarvis, get your ass off that couch." And I sat up. I couldn't stand up. My leg. I sat up in my seat, and I was like, all right, what the fuck do I have to do? I'm getting back to where I should be. And it just put me on that moment, put me on my journey to become the best version of myself, so that there was not an ounce of lost potential. And so I started reading. Another blessing of me being incapacitated was that I had nothing but time. I couldn't go do anything. And so it forced me to sit down. Sometimes if you won't like actively pause, sometimes life will force you to pause. And so that was my forced pause so that I could rebuild myself. And so I started reading books. So for like 3 months, the entire time my leg was in a cast, I did nothing but read. And so I read books. I wanted to know what were like all the most successful people in the world. What were they doing? What were their habits? What were their rituals? What were their mindsets? I just wanted to take it all in. So um, I was reading about Kobe Bryant and Elon Musk and Warren Buffett and Bill Gates and Michael Jordan. I just wanted to just see what was the formula for success. And they all had their different things. And here's one thing I noticed. Kobe would get up he'd be at the gym at 4 a.m, 2 hours before the next person even came into the court. By the time the next person came into practice, he had already shot 1,000 free throws and done a half an hour of drills. And I remember in his book, he always says like, um, you know, while no one will ever beat me because while they're sleeping, I'm getting ahead of the competition. And that just stuck with me. And I started the next day, I was like, what would happen if I woke up at 5 in the morning and just started mapping out the next phase of my life. And that next day I woke up at 4:57 a.m., 3 minutes before my alarm clock went off. And I remember sitting up straight. And it was the first time in my life I had truly experienced peace. There was no phone buzzing. There was no email notifications. There was no text message. There was no friends calling. There was no family. There was no dogs barking. The birds weren't even chirping. I was up before the birds. And it was the first time I had ever experienced true peace. And I pulled out my journal and I just started writing. First of all, I closed my eyes and I started praying. And I just connected to my creator. I listened for some guidance. I opened my journal and I started writing the ideas that was coming to me. And it turned out I was writing like the blueprint for a business plan. And then I mapped out the top three things I need to do to move that forward. And I did the first one. And then I went and I hopped on my crutches and I went, and my mom's basically had this thing called the Total Gym. This is old school.
I remember the Total Gym. I had one of those.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, this is like
Chuck Norris.
back in the 80s with Chuck Norris. Yeah. So we had a Total Gym.
Yeah.
Which was this great, like you get a full body workout and just with your body weight. And so we had a Total Gym and I could actually use it with the leg cast because you're just doing it. It's like a cable machine and it's using your body weight. And so I went over there and I did this Total Gym workout and I finished and I'm dripping sweat. I'm pumped. I'm excited. I prayed. I meditated. I mapped out a business plan. I got a good workout in and I looked up at the clock and it was 7:02 a.m. And I was like, I've had a full day. I'm like, I've done more than most people will get done all day. And they aren't even awake yet. The day hasn't even started and I've already won.
Right.
And it was like that morning I felt like a superhero. And then I started posting online videos. Every morning I would get up and I would post videos first thing in the morning at 5 in the morning. And then someone was like, damn, Jarvis, every day you're on here like a hero. It's like you're a morning hero. And that was the day I realized like, wait a minute, you're right. Like my mornings turn me into a hero. And then that day I changed my name on Instagram to the Morning Hero, Morning Hero. And it just stuck. And so that's when from that part of my life, this practice of getting up and starting my day with more intention, getting up early before the rest of the world, being more intentional about the day, getting a head start. I was able to map out the blueprint for a business plan for a real estate business. And I moved back to San Diego and started doing commercial real estate in San Diego. Became one of the fastest growing agents downtown San Diego, doing office, retail, and restaurant space. In that same time period, I got down to my college weight. I didn't have all 6 abs. I had 4.5.
Right.
First time in my life, I had 4.5 abs and looked pretty ripped in the mirror.
Right.
Got in the best shape of my life. In that same time frame, as I started stepping into being the best version of myself, I started attracting the love of my life back into my life. And that was the girl that broke up with me. And we rekindled, we got together now. We're married now and we have one of the most amazing families. I put my marriage, it's been 8 years and we've not had one argument in 8 years. We have 2 of the most beautiful children. And everything that has manifested in my life has all come from this concept of getting up early and winning the morning. Like they say, if you win the morning, you win the day. And I am a living testament to that. Now, I've been sharing that message with the world, and now I stand on the mountaintop that anyone could be a morning hero. If you want to change your life, win the morning and you'll win your life.
Mm. Wow, that's unbelievable. And then, how old are your kids?
3 and 5.
What gender? Boy, girl?
Boy, so a 5-year-old boy named Jetson, 3-year-old girl named Jordan. So my wife is named Jane. I'm Jarvis. Jetson, Jordan. So we're the J team. All together with the J team.
I like the J team. That's cool. Yeah. So I'm curious. By the way, I have a 25-year-old daughter. 5 was my favorite age.
Is that right?
Yeah. Because I feel like at 5, they can communicate their thoughts and feelings fairly well, but they don't filter the world yet at all. They just have no bias.
Yeah.
I remember specifically my daughter. There was she was in a, I guess it was daycare or kindergarten. I think it was daycare. And there was this girl who was kind of special needs, and she had been adopted. And to this day, I don't know what the mom had, but she had what looked like leprosy. I mean, she had boils covering every visible inch of her body, like arms, face, neck, everything. It was jarring to see it. And my daughter, you know, her perception, like, so she noticed the bumps, but she didn't attach any meaning to it.
Yes.
So it's like, that's what I mean. Like, she didn't filter the world, no bias whatsoever,
Yeah.
but she could see clearly, and she could communicate. I just love that age. But so I'm curious, having both a son and a daughter, because I only have a daughter. I know for a fact, if I had a son, I would raise him in a very different way than I did my daughter. And I'm curious how you view that, if at all.
Would I raise them differently?
Yeah, do you feel like you raise them differently in terms of, like my daughter? Um, I I don't for her ambition is not important to me, right? If I had a son, like, no matter how successful and wealthy I am, he is not getting anything. Like, I might have, you know, like, he's gonna have to do it on his own, only because, like, the worst job I ever had, was working for my dad. I hated being the boss's son.
Yeah.
That was not a thing that I
Yeah.
enjoyed. So I'm just curious how you view it.
I never thought about would I raise them differently.
I mean, they're so young, so I get it.
Yeah, they're both. I mean, if anything, my daughter she's a force to be reckoned with. She's only 3 years old, and she already runs the house. She runs her big brother. Like, if anything, she's gonna be his protector.
Right.
She's the boss, and she gets that from her mom. My wife is badass.
Yeah.
She's the chief of staff for a big organization, and my daughter is gonna be a boss like my wife is.
Right.
So I never thought, like, would I be more sensitive or catering or caring to her because she doesn't have those attributes. If anything, she's going to walk in and dominate every room she walks into, and that's the way I'm going to raise her to do that.
Right.
And to be honest, I'm going to raise both of them the same.
Yeah.
I want both of them to have an entrepreneurial mindset.
Sure.
And even though education is important, I think it's becoming organized. Structured education is going to become less and less important. And so we're going to teach them, like, first and foremost, our main priority as parents is to teach them how to be respectful, loving human beings, right? How to give first, how to have empathy, how to have a caring heart, respect for others. So those are the first kind of characteristics, and we're going to teach that to both of them. The next thing is going to be how to be problem solvers. Because if you have that skill set, you can name your price in life.
Right.
Where you see a problem, and if you have a skill set of knowing how to solve that problem, people will pay you for the degree and difficulty of the problems that you can solve in life. And so we're going to teach that to them. So nothing comes for free. Even now at 3 and 5 years old, they have to work for the things they want. They want some iPad time. They have to go earn it first. So we have a point system or a coin system. They have to go earn coins. So similar to building work ethic, you're gonna have to learn a strong work ethic, whether you're a boy or girl. You got to have a strong work ethic, and you got to understand that when you do something, there's a cause and effect. I do this, I get this. I solve this problem, I get iPad time. And I grew up. I went and I wanted a new PlayStation. I had to go cut lawns, and so I cut lawns all around my neighborhood. That was my very first taste of entrepreneurship. I cut lawns. I shoveled snow. I did all this stuff for all the people in my neighborhood, and that's how I learned how to be a problem solver. And so we're going to teach that to them. I think with YouTube and all the different with technology these days. I mean, kids are millionaires at 14 and 15 years old on TikTok, right? They can go make their own path in life without pursuing traditional education. So I'm going to teach them how to think. We're going to teach them strong work ethic. We're going to teach them how to be problem solvers, to go out and solve the world's problems. And at that point, they can make their path in life.
It's funny. I was just at this mastermind a few weeks ago, got invited to it, and I was the oldest person there by 30 years. 2 17-year-olds, 2 18-year-olds, a 19-year-old, a 20-year-old, a 22-year-old, 24, 27, and 29, and me.
First of all, that's impressive that you know the ages of everybody that was there.
Yeah. And one of the 17-year-olds is already running a 7-figure business. He's 17. He started when he was 15. And the 29-year-old works for the 17-year-old.
Wow. That's
It's
crazy.
crazy. And it's like, I practically begged my daughter not to go to college. I'm like, again, and I went to good schools and they were worth the education wasn't worth anything. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous. It was overpriced then. Now it's ridiculous.
Yeah. It's
I mean,
and for what you get a glorified piece of paper that you really don't use. You
right.
know, my cousin, she graduated, full 4-year degree, uh, and went to go work for Starbucks. It's like, what the hell? You could have just did that straight.
Yeah, like,
Why did you need?
if you were to be an engineer and build buildings, maybe.
Yeah, right.
But like gender studies, really?
Right, right.
Come on.
Yeah. No, totally. I think to go back to your question of like, and this, by the way, I appreciate that question. It's the first time I've been asked about I've been on a lot of podcasts. And I've never been asked about my philosophy on raising my kids. So I love this conversation. I think,
And by the way, let me just be clear about something. Like, I actually, all the stuff you're saying, I would do all the same things too, but for both a boy and a girl. What I meant more was like if I had a son, like, yeah, I think Shaquille O'Neal is famous for saying this. It's like, you're not rich, I'm rich.
yes.
Right. And so I feel like, it's more like, that's really more what I was thinking.
So let
Like,
me ask you this: how do you then? So like I grew up from humble beginnings. West side of Chicago.
yeah,
I thankfully I had a powerful mom, right? But on our block there were 3 of us. We called ourselves the 3 amigos. It was me in the middle. I had my best friend who lived a couple doors to the right of me, and then my other best friend who lived a couple doors to the left. We did everything together. We played sports together. We go down to the corner and play, tackle the man football after school. Um, right after right after freshman year of high school, the friend to the right got shot in the head and killed
oh my,
for gang violence. He was in a gang.
he was in a gang?
He was in a gang.
Okay.
The friend to the left of me has been locked up in prison for breaking in people's houses and robbing people ever since we got out of high school. And then there was me. So one is dead. One has been in jail ever since high school. And then there's me.
Right.
The only difference was my mom.
Hmm.
And so I come from very humble beginnings in a rough patch in Chicago. And so now as a parent, I want nothing other than to give the world to my children. I want them to have everything that I didn't have. I want to, my duty is for them to have a shortcut in life, a starting point, higher, further along than the starting point I had, right? I feel like that's my duty, is to pass that down to them. However, how do you do that? I love your thoughts on this. How do you do that and yet keep them humble at the same time?
So I'll tell you that the 2 most difficult things to be a good parent, in my opinion, having, a child or children is the most selfish act one can take, in my opinion, because it's not like you could adopt a kid. No, no, this is my son, my daughter. It's like my daughter, the beauty queen, my son, the doctor, my daughter, the lawyer, or whatever it might be, my, right? So it's like having it, making the choice to have a children and then not making it about you is very difficult.
Yeah.
And I also think it's particularly difficult for a child who's the same gender. So as an example, like, if I had a son and he didn't want to wrestle, like that would bother me. I think I'd rein myself in.
Yeah.
But I would have to rein myself in. I'd still be having the thoughts for sure. With a daughter, I really don't care. I just want her to be happy. But the second biggest challenge after not making it about yourself is the knee jerk is you want to give them the world and have them experience no suffering whatsoever. That is the worst thing you can do, because think about it. I can trace 0 of my good qualities back to anything good that's happened in my life. I can trace them all back to hardship. Every good quality I possess is something bad happened to me that I had to overcome.
Yeah.
And the most important skill your children needs is resilience. And that only comes from hardship. Now, you don't want your kid being a gang getting shot at or robbing people and going to prison, or homeless on the street, right?
Right.
So that's not the hardship you want.
Right.
But so how can you manufacture some hardship to teach them resilience? So things like sports, putting them in a martial art, finding some way for them to experience that, that to me is the most important gift, because otherwise you're stealing their growth from them if you don't allow them to experience hardship.
No, I love that. I love it. Sounds like you read the book Grit by Angela Duckworth.
I haven't. I have, but I've
Yeah.
heard of it. But I've heard of it.
Oh man, that's so good. Just a spoiler alert.
That's basically what I just said.
First of all, it's a great book.
Okay.
Angela is a Stanford professor, and she did this, I don't know, like a 10-year study
Okay.
on what differentiated certain kids to be successful from the others.
Okay.
And she boiled it down to this one quality called grit.
Right.
And grit essentially is resilience,
Right.
the ability to push through and persevere through tough times and tough situations. So they to not quit and to keep going when you don't want to. And she called that personality trait grit. And then she gives her whole formula on how do you build grittiness in people, and then she takes it a step further, and how do you build it in children. And then the number one thing she recommended was sports, or
Right.
organized sports, and putting them in intentional tough situations to help them build this quality of perseverance.
Yeah.
So it really just sums up exactly what you just said.
Yeah. And I do think too, like you learn some different things from a team sport versus an individual sport. I think there's great lessons to be learned from both. I played some of both. Obviously wrestling's more of an individual sport. I played soccer and other team sports, and it's like, you learn some different things
Yeah.
there.
But I love that. So what do you say is the difference then between how you raise your son versus how you raise your daughter?
So I only have a daughter.
Oh,
So I'm always
okay.
how I imagine I would raise a son.
Okay.
Yeah. Like as an example, like for me, um, my dad didn't get because I had an older brother that was grounded till eternity. He was always in trouble, setting the house on fire, something, always doing
Yeah.
something crazy. I overcompensated the other way. And so I was like the angel child, never got in trouble. I don't ever remember being punished or grounded in my entire life. But when I turned 13, my dad basically told me I had to go out for the wrestling team. I didn't have any choice. And my dad had never demanded I do anything. I was a good kid, good student, whatever. And he's like, I want to go out for the basketball team. He's like, you're 3 feet tall. He's like, you're going out for the wrestling team. And he made some silly thing. He's like, well, you can quit after 2 weeks, right? Which is silly because then the tryouts were already be over for basketball, so I couldn't go out for the basketball team anyway. So, but wrestling, that was maybe the thing. I would say the the four most impactful things in my life was helping my mom detox from alcohol when I was 9. That's why I never drank till I was 35. Like not even a sip of champagne at New Year's at midnight.
Well,
It was wrestling when I was 13. That was a huge game changing thing for me. It was being misdiagnosed and told I had 6 months to live when I was 24. When I was 24, I was misdiagnosed with terminal cancer, told I had 6 months to live. Obviously didn't die. And then the last one was my daughter being born. Those 4 things are, 99% of all of my good qualities came from those 4
came
things.
from those things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Like you can't, I mean, that's literally, I'm sitting here now because of, it's like, I say life kind of like, you know, roughed me up, like to smooth me out to turn me into a diamond. But,
Well,
it
but
was
let's
those,
go back to that. So you're 35, you start posting, right?
Yeah.
And so, but you kind of, I feel like you skipped over a little bit. So you start posting with your leg in a cast,
Yeah.
and you're on the Chuck Norris Total Gym.
yeah.
And then all of a sudden now I'm happily married with 2 great kids and everything's, sunshines and rainbows. I feel like there had to be a little bit more there.
Yeah, so I mean, my leg got better. I moved back to San Diego. Actually, before I even moved back to San Diego, so this whole morning thing, right? So I'll get up in the morning, and because I had like space, it was the first time I really had space. I would normally get up going. I would
Right.
get up and go. I would get up doing something. I would wake up just in time for whatever the thing I was about to do, just in time for work, or just in time for to go to a meeting, or just in time to go to the gym. There was never space. But now I was getting up at 5 in the morning, and I had space. It was pitch black outside. It was total silence. No one was up. And so I would use that time to start connecting. I would close my eyes and I would start praying. I call it listening. So I'd go into this active state of listening where I'm just kind of listening for a word, a little birdie, a guidance or wisdom, a download. And I started, so all my great ideas, everything came from downloads I would get in that quiet space in the morning. the quiet space, I got, hey, real estate is your next thing. Jarvis 2.0 is in real estate. So then I got my real estate license. So while I was laid up with my leg in a cast, I got my real estate license. I started looking for brokerages and I got hired on to a brokerage in San Diego. While in that quiet space, um, I would I would start seeing visions. It's almost like a movie would play. And I would just sit there. It's like an out of body experience. I would sit there and I would just watch the movie, almost like I'm sitting there with some popcorn and I'm watching the movie play in my mind. And that movie is being orchestrated by a director with way higher, more power than I have. And so I'm sitting there watching the movie, and oftentimes Jane has a starring role in this movie. And so we're broken up. I hadn't talked to her in, I don't know, 6 months. Radio silence. We had zero communication. And I'm in the mornings, I'm getting this movie played to me and I see Jane, and Jane has a starring role. And it comes to me, I am made aware that she's going to be a pillar in my life. And coincidentally, like the next day, she texted me. She texted me out of spite because she's with her. So when we were dating, like we would always host and like we merge our friend circles. But then when I left, she kept hanging out with her friends. She kept hanging out with my friends. So they were majority of my friends. I left and went back to Chicago.
Right.
She kept hanging out with my friends. And so she texted me one day a picture of her hanging out with all my old friends. They're all out to dinner, having a good time. And she was doing it to be like a dig, like, yeah, we're here. This is what you're missing out on.
Right.
Sucks to be you. But anyway, that kind of kicked us off back talking again. And at that time, that's when I had gotten deep into this morning practice, getting really intentional, connecting, listening. And I am made aware that she's going to be a pillar in my life. And I flew to San Diego and proposed to her. We weren't even together. We weren't dating. We were still broken up. All we had was some text messages back and forth that we had slightly rekindled. And I was like, it was shown to me that she was going to be my wife. And I flew to San Diego and proposed to her. And that is what got me back to San Diego. So at that point, I proposed to her. She accepted.
Did you actually have a ring?
Yeah. I did the whole thing. So, I mean, it didn't happen as fast as I showed. So
Right.
the moment I knew she was going to be my wife, I went out and started ring shopping. I told my mom. My mom was like, I knew you were going to get back with her. My mom has always been Team Jane.
Right.
Even when we broke up, she was like, Jarvis, you're nuts. What are you doing? She's the best thing ever. So my mom was all excited. She was like, all right, let's go ring shopping. And so over about a month period of time, we went and bought ring and did all that. And then I organized the whole thing, flew my family out, and I proposed to her in San Diego. She accepted. And then I got a job with a brokerage in downtown. And then I moved back to San Diego. So that's how I got back to Chicago from San Diego. And then from there, that's when everything started to take off. I started from those little posts that I was doing online. I started hosting events. And so I recognize that you are a product of your environment. The reason my downfall was because of, when I look back on it, it was because of my environment. I started hanging with some people that they weren't headed in the right direction. All they were concerned with was drinking and partying and having a good time. And naturally, I assimilated to my environment. And so after I got back to San Diego, I recognized that how powerful your environment is. And so I started hosting meetups just because I wanted to attract higher level, higher elevated people, higher capacity people. I wanted to attract that type of people to be around me. And so those meetups went from the first time we did it was 6 people showed up and it was in my living room. The next time 12 people showed up. Then the next time 25 people showed up. I was like, okay, I can't keep doing this in the living room. And I found an event space. And then, slowly but surely 75, 150 people started showing up to these events. And it just showed that there was this hunger that people were looking for community. People were looking for other like-minded people that was growth-oriented, that were trying to get up and be the best version of themselves. And so then it kind of turned into this community of started leading this movement of morning heroes, of people that was just getting up and getting after it every day. We would get up and we would meet at the at the convention center. They've got in San Diego. They have this convention center, and it's got 6 flights of stairs from the street level all the way up to the rooftop. You can take the stairs, and we would meet at the convention center at 5 in the morning to run the stairs. And it was like all these crazy ass motherfuckers, and we were getting up and getting after it every day. And all those people are super successful now.
Nice.
And so then that is what then kind of kicked me into thought leadership, into this morning hero movement, because I saw that there was hunger. There was people out there that were looking for transformation, just like I was, that needed a word. They needed some inspiration. And so I leaned heavy into how do I help get this message out to help those people that have higher potential in them, that might feel stuck, that might feel like there's more in them than what they're getting now out of life, that they're leaving a little bit on the table, like that they've coasted and started being comfortable. All the things that I started doing that ultimately led me down my downward path. How do I help catch those people before they go on the same downward path that I did, and say, hey, listen, get your ass off that couch. Get your ass off that couch and start living in your highest power. Right? The world needs you in your full power. Anything you leave on the table is like, we all suffer. I mean, think about it. There's someone on this earth right now that's probably poised to cure cancer. There's someone on this earth that's trying to get us to Mars. There's someone on this earth that's closing the wealth divide. Like, every one of us has a promise that we were seeded with. And if you go to your grave with that seed still deep in you, like, we all suffer. If that person that was supposed to cure cancer, if they don't live in their full power, not only do they disappoint themselves, millions of people continue to die every year because they sat on their ass and they didn't live up to their power. And so I believe I was put on this earth to help inspire people to live in their full power. And that's what the Morning Hero stands for.
So talk a little bit about your coaching and mentorship. And so is it a program? Is it one-on-one? Do they take a course? Like, what's
So the main thing of like the Morning Hero, and this is this tagline every damn day. It's just get up and get after it every damn day. No days off. And so and it's very simple. Like, we live off the winning formula. It's the formula of how to win the day. You win the morning, you win the day. And it's the word win. There's those 3 letters, W-I-N. W stands for wake up early. You need time every morning. You need space. You can't get up and go. You need time to work on yourself every morning. So that's the wake up early. Wake up 1 hour earlier than you do now. The I, set your intentions. Be intentional. Don't let life just happen accidentally to you. You command what's going to happen. Sit in front of a journal and ask yourself, okay, in my wealth, what am I doing today to live in my highest power in my wealth? In my health, what does the highest and best version of me look like in my health today? In my relationships, how am I maximizing my relationships? So just be intentional about your life, every core category of your life. And then the N stands for no days off. Every damn day. Don't leave anything on the table. And so wake up early, set your intentions every damn day. And so we have programs where people get on a call every day in the morning, and they do this process together. At 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning. We're going to start doing them at 4 in the morning. For like me, I get up at 4 now.
Yeah.
But a lot of times the thing that people have the biggest problem with is transitioning to waking up early. Like, a lot of people identify as night owls. They hold on to this crutch that I could never be a morning person. I've tried and I can't do it. So it's kind of hard for some people. So we have these calls where they can get on a call at 5 in the morning.
Right.
And then it's just space where they sit with their journal. They're on a call with a bunch of other go-getters. And they set their intentions and then declare their goals for the day. Like, here's how I'm dominating today.
Right.
And then that simple process. I
had someone I was mentoring, and they were saying they couldn't be a morning person. And I said, let me prove to you that you can be. And I said, who's the most important person in the world to you? And she was like, well, my daughter. And I was like, okay, so let's say that if I told you that if there was a single day that you didn't wake up at 5 or earlier, your daughter would die, as silly as that example is.
Yeah.
Could you get up at 5 every day? Absolutely you could, right?
Absolutely.
So it's like, it's a choice. You can choose to be a morning person. It might be an uncomfortable choice,
Totally.
but it's totally a choice.
It totally is. But a lot of times you have to get people over that limiting belief, that self-doubt, that I can't do this, or it's my biology. They've got these illusions that everyone is biologically tuned different to the sun. Like
Right.
my circadian rhythm is different than yours. No, it's not. That's
Yeah.
bullshit,
Yeah.
right? But you have all this science that tells you that your DNA is designed to wake up at 9 a.m. No, it's not.
Right.
That's bullshit, right? And so sometimes you just have to help people through that transition. And so we have these programs to help people become morning heroes, even if they think they're forever doomed to be a night owl.
Right.
No, you're not. So that's what the morning hero
Let me
program.
ask you a question. So how do you handle a situation? I know it's one of the things that's most frustrating to me, and maybe this makes me not a very good mentor. The one thing I don't have much tolerance for is people that have a victim mentality.
Yeah.
So how do you help someone out of a victim mentality?
Mm.
Or when you see the victim mentality, you be like, maybe we're not, maybe I can't help that person.
Yeah, so great question. I've wrestled with this for a while because it's tough, especially because when you see something like that when you see the answer, like I'm giving you the solution here, like, I've banged my head against the wall trying to pull people into their greatness. Like, come on, here it is. All you have to do is this. You're right there, and they don't take it. And it's like at a certain point you have to realize this: that you can't own someone else's future and success. Like you have to release yourself, and I had to release myself of that. But here's what I found to be the best: that you can't tell someone what to do. You show them. People don't learn from what they hear. They learn from what they see. And so it's like my son. My son, he's amazing. My son is autistic. 3 years ago, we found out he was autistic. Very tough thing to swallow as a man. You want nothing but for your son
Sure.
to walk in your footsteps. You want to take him to his prom and teach him how to treat a woman, and you want to show him how to be an entrepreneur. Like you have all these thoughts and dreams that you want to shape and mold him to be the man, this perfect man that you always wanted in your life. And so, first of all, it's a very tough thing to swallow. But with that diagnosis came a superpower. My son has a superpower. When he focuses in on something, I mean, he goes deep.
Right.
And nothing else in the world matters. Whatever's in front of him at that moment, he is hyper focused on that thing. And like he's a math whiz. Like he remembers things like crazy. You could tell him a phone number, and 2 weeks from now, he'll recite to you the 7 digits of the phone number. Like he has a superpower.
Right.
But I remember one time I was sitting there, and my son, he was working on something. We had these Lego set. And I'm reading the instructions of the Legos, and he's just doing it, right? He's just going off and doing it, but he's doing it wrong. And I'm looking at the instructions. I'm like, oh, no, son, first of all, no. It's the blue, then the red. And then you got to put the blue, and then you have to put the red, and then you have to put the green. But he is just in his own world. It's like nothing around him exists when he's zeroed in on something. And he just keeps doing it. And I'm like, no, son, Jetson. No. First, trust me, son. First, you want to put the blue. Then you got to put the red. I'm looking at the instructions and saying blue,
Right.
then red, then green. And he's good. And then I said, and I'm getting frustrated. And then finally I turn his head, and he faces me. And I turn his face to me and I say, Jetson, look at me. It's like this. First it's the blue, then it's the red, then it's the green. But then he looks at me. And then he turns back, and then it's bloop, 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 bloop. And see, as I was telling him what to do, it was going over him, in one ear, out the other. Everything I told him to do fell on deaf ears. The moment he saw me do it, he emulated my actions. He emulated what I wanted him to do. I think you can't teach someone by telling them what to do. They emulate what they see you do. The best way you teach someone is you have to be a living example of it. And so when I used to try to coach people and tell them, no, you've got to do this. Come on, you got to do that. Fuck that. They wouldn't do any of it. That's why I'm prolific on social media. I have to show them by my actions. And every day they see me, it plants a seed of belief in them that, you know what, I could do that too. I could do that too. God damn it. Hell, he could do that. She could do that. They could do that. All right, now the moment the seed of belief is planted in them, you don't have to tell them how to do it. They will figure it out. And I think the problem is people try to tell people how to do things. You don't have to tell anyone how to do anything. You have to make them believe they can do it. The moment the belief is in them, they will figure it out how to do it.
What about the mindset aspect of it? That's where I was thinking about when I think about when I met my second and final wife, um, and as unlucky as I was with the first one, I
She's
got
watching this, so
I
good
got
thing you
super
said, like, you have
lucky.
to put that
No, no, trust me. I literally told my friends, I said, the earth will stop rotating on its axis before I get married again. If I ever say I'm getting married again, rendition me to some black site and waterboard me till I recant. Like, that's how serious I was about not getting married again. And when I met my then girlfriend, now wife, I told her straight up, I said, you're great. Just so you know, we're never getting married. Like, and yeah, so I don't want you to feel like I'm leading you along,
Yeah.
leading you on. Um, and obviously, obviously things change. But um, but what I said when I met her, she had what I would say a very mild case of victim mentality. Now, she had lost her dad unexpectedly when she was 17, and as a result of that, the family went from being very affluent. They had 3 restaurants. They lost the restaurants, lost their cars, lost their houses. She went from driving a Mercedes to riding the bus in 3 months. And and then her mom also, she's Afghan. Her mom became a translator for the army as a way to try to support the family. So she's in a war zone as a translator. Her dad's dead. They've lost everything.
Wow.
She's 17.
Wow.
Right? She had, understandably a little bit of a victim mentality, but I was able to cure her of it very quickly. Other people have much worse cases of victimhood, right, than she did. And I would think that that's something that's because I think that you're right. You can show someone, and that's so much better than telling. I totally agree. But if they don't start with the right mindset, they're like, well, that will work for Jarvis, but that's
Right.
never going to work for me because my background, my victim stance is worse than his, and so well, it might work for him, it's not going to work for me.
Yeah.
How do you help someone through that? You know, from the
Well, let me ask you, how did you help your wife through it?
Good question. You know what I did? I find this is generally a really useful strategy or tactic, I should say, is I don't make statements. I ask questions, and I ask a question in a way that their answer is the statement I would have made
Mm.
because now it's them saying it and not me.
Yeah.
So I'm not telling them; they're telling themselves.
Yeah.
So that's how I did it with her.
Yeah. I think that's a great tactic. It has to come from internal, right? Um, I learned a long time ago that I can never coach my wife. So, so kudos to you. Kudos to you for
And when we met, she was 23 and I was 50. So
Okay.
like,
Okay.
so it's a little bit easier. Like if I don't have a little more wisdom than someone I'm more than twice their age, then what does that say about me?
Yeah, yeah. Um, but no, that's a great one. I even find that sometimes with that approach, because I've coached thousands of people at this point. Um, Even with that approach, sometimes people can see through it and they put up a guard or defense even to the questions. Like, I see what you're trying to do. What the fuck you mean by that? Like what are you getting at, right? And so I even find that a true victim will even be resistant to you even asking. And I call those uh what's the movie with where they go into their dream states?
Not Dreamscape, is it?
No,
It's an old
no,
movie.
they have to go deeper and deeper
Oh,
into the
Inception.
Inception.
Yeah.
I call those Inception questions.
Okay.
You're trying to ask questions to go deep into their subconscious to make them
Right.
feel like it was their own internal belief generated idea. But even I found that Inception questions don't work with some people. I find like it's more and more examples of, and the way we do it in the program is that we have countless examples of other people who are just like them in their current circumstance who
Got
have
it.
done it. So you're right. They may say, Jarvis, you don't relate to me. That might work for you. But then I say, but what about Susan?
Right, right, right.
What about Crystal?
Yeah.
What about Max? Well, just like, matter of fact, Max was worse than you.
Right.
Like, if he could do it, goddamn, why can't
Yeah.
you? Right. And so it's the community. Community is
That
everything.
makes a lot of sense. I could see it. So scale could really help solve that problem because now once you have, one of everything, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although I would imagine, I'm curious, like I would imagine people that have more of a victim mentality might be a lot less likely to even seek out any kind of coaching.
100%. You're right.
Yeah.
And those people I can't help.
Yeah.
To be honest, you have to at least be at a point where you're willing to hear something out. And this is why I use social media.
Yeah.
because it's a very non-intrusive way to get in someone's world where you're not talking at them.
And then they're self-selecting into your world.
They're self-selecting. They're interested. Whatever I said in that video, they stuck around for something, caught their attention for a reason.
Right.
I'm not saying, Dave, you get off your ass. Like, no, I'm speaking in generalities, but whatever I said, they must have identified with it.
Sure.
And so it's a way to coach people without actually calling them out. And so that's why I do a lot of that, putting out messages and stories on social media for it to catch someone's interest. And the moment they catch their interest, it invites them into the world where they continue to see stories, examples, where they continue to see evidence of transformation, and they start to see themselves in the transformation. And so,
interesting. So, what's your vision for? So, how long you been doing this, the coaching and mentorship stuff?
I started doing those events in 2019. My initial ambition was to be the Black Tony Robbins, or to grow events, because I love a big part of the Boarding Heroes community. We, getting people together, getting on those accountability calls in the morning. Like, that's how you get this every damn day consistency, is when you're accountable to other people, not just yourself, because your own willpower and discipline will fail at some point. However, you won't let someone else down if someone else is expecting something.
Yeah, that actually begs a question. I've had this experience myself, and I don't understand the psychology behind it. Why is it easier to show up for somebody else than it is to show up for yourself?
Your pride, 100% pride.
Explain that.
Ego. I want to save face. I can't disappoint them. I can't look bad in front of them. If I don't show up, I look bad. They think less of me.
So I don't actually mean it that way. So the way I mean it, sorry, I'm going to clarify. So as an example, right? Said a different way, when I give great advice to other people, I don't always give this nearly as good
You don't
advice
take
to
your own
myself.
advice.
Yeah, well, and so what I've actually taught myself to do is I literally mentally take myself out of my situation, and I pretend like I'm taking my situation and I'm projecting it onto my wife, my daughter, someone I care deeply about, and I'm giving them the advice.
Give them the advice. That's
that
a great.
ultimately is the advice to me.
Yeah.
But what I really meant more is like, so let's say, for instance, so the reason I moved out to Scottsdale from Miami was I have an older brother who's my height and 350 pounds. And the fact that he hasn't already had a heart attack and doesn't have diabetes is something of a medical miracle. And so when I was out in Scottsdale visiting, doing some podcast about 4 months ago, I hadn't seen him since my wedding 2 years ago. So he'd put on quite a bit of weight. He was heavy then, but he put on even more weight. And it got to the point, like it was just traumatizing to see him in that state. And so the reason I moved out to Scottsdale was to try to help him get things back on track, right? And so if it was not a hard decision for me to make the move out there to be helpful to my brother, and again, this isn't the best example, but if I had to do that, make that same decision for myself, it would have been harder for me to do it. Why would it be harder for me to do it for myself than it would be someone I care about? And
that's a great question. Right?
And I don't even understand the psychology.
I think it taps into our primal instincts as humans, which is to care and nurture for others. Like if your daughter, like if you turned around and saw your daughter standing in the middle of the street and a bus was coming, your immediate instinct, before you even think consciously about it,
right,
your instincts you would jump in front of the bus and push her out. At least I would.
Yeah, me too.
Immediately, before my mind has to make a calculated decision, my primal instincts is to save them and sacrifice myself. I think that's just a primal instinct to nurture and cater to and provide for others. Just like as a man, it's our primal instinct to want to care, to provide. I don't think we have to make a conscious decision about it. I don't think we have to, when we're little, we have to be taught it. We don't have to create a business plan around it. It's just primal instincts. And I think there's certain things we're born with, and that's one of them.
So 2019, you're doing all these meetups. Not too long after that, COVID hits. That had to put a little, crink in things.
Yeah, so you asked about the vision. So it used to be events.
Right.
And speaking on stage is my passion. I love Being on stage, I
Have you
love.
done a TEDx or
Yeah, so one of my events, we joined forces with TEDx San Diego.
okay.
So the events that I was doing, which was more like a meetup for entrepreneurs,
Right.
we combined and did a storytelling event with TEDx to show entrepreneurs the art of storytelling. And so I presented my story as an example to show people how everyone has a story worth telling, and how your story is how you connect with people to have impact on them.
Mm.
And so it's about being vulnerable, and that's how you end up connecting to be able to provide impact. So that was a TEDx
Got it.
in San Diego.
Cool.
But so it used to be I wanted to do events. I love being on stage, and so I thought me being the Black Tony Robbins, what's the pinnacle of hosting stages?
Right.
Tony Robbins, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Filling up arenas. Since then, I now with social media and technology, I think my vision has expanded way beyond just big stages. Instead of filling an arena with 10,000 people, I can put a video out and touch 1 million people. And so my vision is still the same, which is to inspire the world to become morning heroes, to wake up and win every damn day so that you can build a winning life. How I do that now is being prolific on social media, being the example, being the chief morning hero, showing what it means, the life of a morning hero. And then we have tools and technology now to help people on that journey. So we have an app. I have my book coming out called Every Damn Day,
Right.
How to Wake Up and Win Every Damn Day. But we have a whole host of things to help people on their hero journey. But my chief aim in life is inspiration, to inspire the world to become morning heroes. Because when everyone wakes up and live in their greatness, we all benefit. We elevate the whole humanistic experience for everyone. And so how I'm going to be doing that through is a lot of social media and through the app, the Morning Hero. The app is going to be called Win the Day.
Nice.
And so people can win the day in the palm of their hands. And then we also have groups. So the people that really struggle, they can join, we call them tribes.
Right.
So when they get the app, they can join a tribe, and those tribes get on a call at whatever 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 in their time zone. They can meet with other people, and they all set their intentions together. So it's just about creating space every morning to be more intentional about your life. And then for folks that need help, we have groups that get on calls every morning. They do it together.
Mm. Nice. And is your wife at all involved in in your the business
No,
aspect, or
she's just my inspiration.
Got it.
She's my motivation. This whole
Okay.
what is your primal? The primal instinct I have is to give her a house on the hills of La Jolla, overlooking La Jolla shores.
Right.
The with the beach house. So yeah, so that's her role is, that's my motivation, is to see this vision through, and a residual impact of that is to be able to provide the life of her and our family's dreams.
Now your kids are still obviously very young, but I'm curious, based on kind of the direction things are going, you think you'll encourage them to go to college?
It's a great question. Me and my wife talk about that.
Right.
And by the way, let me backtrack with my wife. My ambition is that she will come to the Morning Hero. She really loves what she does right now.
Right.
But if things go the way it's trending with the Morning Hero, I want her to come over and be the CEO of the Morning Hero, where I can then focus just on being the face of the brand.
Ooh.
I have a vision of us being on Forbes together, a power couple,
Nice.
the cover of Forbes. But so me and my wife, she is in education. So she runs a school. We're big on education. We value education. I'm not going to push them towards it. If they have an entrepreneurial mindset, I have one of the people in one of our Morning Hero groups, his son, 12 years old, runs a Turo business. He has 3 Teslas on Turo. 12 years old. He can't even drive the cars at the business that he's running.
Right.
But he runs. Now, should his father push him to go into school when he is at 12? By the time he gets of college age,
Seriously.
he's already making more money than so I'm not going to push college.
Right.
However, we will instill a strong value of education. I think there's a lot of value in organized education. I don't think it's necessary.
Mm.
What about you?
I probably begged my daughter not to go to college.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, she got a degree in psychology and a minor in business, and then she got a good job. And none of which used her education. Like, it was basically $250,000 for her to learn how to socialize.
Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, she was more academically challenged in her public high school than she was in college.
That's crazy.
And so, her number one criteria for her school selection was the Greek system. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's messed up.
Yeah.
Like, I put a whole spreadsheet together, job rate, average annual salary coming out of college, like all the criteria you should use when you're picking a school.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, no, Dad, here's my criteria.
Yeah.
How good's a football team? What's the Greek system look like? Are you kidding me?
What's the party scene like?
But my commitment to her was, I'll make sure that college is taken care of. You'll have no student loans. But I said, look, let's put it in Bitcoin. If I did that, she'd be sitting on $8 million right now.
Oh, wow.
That's what she should have done.
Yeah.
She didn't listen. So
Hindsight is 2020.
But no, honestly, so I don't know if Nick and Monty mentioned this to you, but this Tuesday, I'm gonna live on a podcast rip up my Wharton diploma.
Really?
Yeah, because my course is called the Anti-MBA with the Wharton Business School. Never taught
that's
me.
great marketing ploy.
Yeah, and people are like, oh, you're gonna use a copy of it, right? I'm like, no, I'm ripping up the original.
The original.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually gonna have it in the frame. In fact, believe it or not, I'm a little upset that they didn't tell me this is because I had the idea to do it, but we hadn't picked the podcast yet. And so I didn't bring it with me. I have to literally fly back to Arizona tonight, get it, and fly back tomorrow morning so that I have it to tear up on Tuesday.
Oh, damn. That's a great, and I love that. I mean, nowadays, you think about it, in YouTube University, like you can learn, I think
Anything.
Harvard MBA, Harvard puts their full lessons, the full classes on YouTube.
But here's the thing. I was in those classes, right? And they weren't useful.
Yeah.
They weren't useful.
Yeah.
The reality is you learn by doing. You don't learn by reading or listening to someone, pontificate about whatever the hell, right?
Yeah.
Most of my entrepreneurial professors, in fact, all but one, were themselves not entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Right. So even just, you can't even tell me what your experience was. You never had to make payroll. What do you know?
Right.
So when you need to make payroll, now you're an entrepreneur.
Totally. Yeah.
So, I think that, like I said, if you want to build buildings or bridges, you need an engineering degree, and maybe college could make sense for that. Now, the problem we have, though, is how old are you?
45.
45? Yeah. So you're still a little bit younger, but even at your age, learning, I used to have to go to a library.
Right.
And check out a book that was written 9 years ago.
Right.
By the way, there was no 4 and 5-star Amazon reviews. There were no book reviews.
Right.
I don't even know if it's a good book.
Right.
And by the way, someone checked it out. Come back next week. Maybe it'll be back.
Right.
Right. That's how you accumulated knowledge. Now we have a curation problem. Now you don't know, because let's say I'm learning a new topic like how to be a trader or how to invest in crypto or whatever. How do I know what's good content or bad content? It's new information for me. So now you have a curation problem, which is why personal brands like yours are so powerful. It's why, hey, look, Joe Rogan never intentionally lies to me. So I'm going to listen to him and what he has to say. Hey, this guy's showing me, how he turned his life around and why being morning hero is so important. This is the guy I'm going to listen to. This is the guy I'm going to trust. And so people now, we don't trust institutions at all, probably for good damn reason. We definitely don't trust our government. We definitely don't trust, Harvard or Stanford or any of those people. We trust people.
Totally.
And people who are authentic.
Right.
And so I think that that's kind of the future of the economy. It's part of why I have very few regrets in my life, but one of them is that I didn't start working on my personal brand 5 years ago because, obviously I'd be in a way different place, because ultimately that's the best, long-term play is build up a personal brand built on authenticity. Okay. And never lie to your audience about anything ever.
Yeah.
And if you do so, forget about monetization. Like, there'll be a million ways to monetize. I mean, Facebook didn't make a penny for the first, 10 plus years of their existence. They had zero revenue.
Yeah.
And then eventually, once they built their audience, then they monetized.
Yep.
So it's like, there'll be a million ways to monetize later. I'm not even focused on that.
Yeah, I love it. So what's going to be different about the anti-MBA?
So, I mean, what I literally did is I took an 18-year-old kid who just finished high school with no business experience whatsoever, zero. And I'm going to and all she's doing is taking my course and having me mentor her. I make zero decisions. She has 51% of the equity. She will make 100%. She has and will continue to make 100% of the operating decisions about that business. And I don't even when we meet twice a week, she asks me whatever questions she has, and then I answer them, and then she executes. And so if I can take an 18-year-old and launch a business in 30 days and get it profitable within 90, I say me. She can launch a business in 30 days and get it profitable within 90 with my course and my guidance. And again, by the way, I charge for the course, but I don't even care about making money on the course. It's actually, I reverse engineered the outcome I wanted. The outcome I want is I wanted to make investments and sit on the board and mentor 10 to 12 entrepreneurs where I really like the person and I really like the business. And so what I'm doing is, in order to do the coaching call with me, you have to finish the 4.5-hour course and do a coaching call where I'm going to evaluate them and their idea. If and only if I like them and I like their idea, I'm going to have 10 and only 10 people in a 6-month commitment mastermind. At the end of that 6 months, I'm committing to invest between $250,000 and $500,000 in no less than 1 and no more than 3 of those businesses. So let's say I invest in 2. I'm going to do that every 6 months. In 2.5 to 3 years, that'll be 10 to 12 investments, where I'm going to be mentoring people I really like, doing things I'm really excited about, and I'm just using the course. It's kind of like a reverse Shark Tank.
It's like a vetting process.
Yeah, because I'll be up over those 6 months. Like you think on Shark Tank or you think about Y Combinator, other business incubators, you don't know how good they are. They've just given you a presentation and you've made a decision based on that. I'm going to have 6 months to evaluate. Are they able to take coaching? Are they able to make adjustments in the revenue and business model? Can they attract and retain and motivate talent? How good of a leader are they?
Totally.
You're going to be able to evaluate all of that. So I'm going to be able to cherry pick
Yeah.
like the best of the best.
Totally.
And so I'm so excited about, and I really just kind of like, I just reverse engineered the outcome I wanted, and that's how I decided to do the course, not the other way around.
Yeah. No, that's good. Sounds a lot like the Alex Hormozy model.
It is. It's a lot. So the thing that's different is he does it in like a seminar fashion,
Right.
where he's doing it to lots of people. For me, I'm cherry picking 10 people and I'm coaching them one-on-one.
Yeah.
Not in a group format. Now there'll be some group stuff too, but for the most part, for them to like bounce ideas off each other. But I'm going to be intimately involved in all 10 businesses and coaching them through the whole process.
Oh, I love it. I love it, man.
Yeah.
Big vision.
Yeah. It's like at the end of the day, I say I'm semi-retired. I'm doing 2 podcasts. I'm launching the course. I'm working 70 to 80 hours a week in my semi-retirement. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's working. And you look great. What's your number one? I know you're a biohacker. What's your number one biohacking strategy or secret?
Getting sleep, getting good sleep. If I had one thing that I go back in the time machine and get better at. Now the good news is I only need 6 hours. Like if I can't sleep more than 6, I wake up almost like clockwork right at 6 hours, feeling completely rested. I don't take naps. I don't, the other thing I would say that's really helpful is I'm mostly keto. So I'll have a cup of coffee in the morning and I eat in about a 3-hour window. And unless I have a business breakfast or lunch, I only eat in that 3-hour window.
All day? So you eat
one meal. It's sometimes I'll have like a snack at 4 and then like a full dinner more like 6:30.
Yeah.
But it's always in like a 3-hour window.
Yeah.
And then other than that, I just have a cup of coffee. And then unless I have a business meal, I only eat dinner.
Oh, that's okay.
So I would say those 2, sleep and sort of eating in that window, are the 2 big ones for me.
That's awesome. And I'm very similar on the sleep side. Do you ever go through bouts where you can't sleep?
No.
Insomnia?
No. I sleep like someone shot me. Yeah.
Are you doing anything to get like the supplements or melatonin or you just?
So I will tell you in fact, you can check this out if you want to. So the coolest new biohack that I have is there's a company here, actually headquartered here in San Diego area called Lumati, and they have this thing. It's a 5-in-1 where you take this supplement, you're standing on this vibrating plate, you're listening to a guided meditation with these headphones that have vagus nerve stimulation, right? So it's doing vagus nerve stimulation while you're listening to a guided meditation. It has a special, it's not just red light, it's like these 10 different spectrums of lights. Yeah, and then you're also breathing in nanoparticle hydrogen. So of all of those things, the one that had the biggest impact was the headphones. So I bought myself a pair of them, and every single day now.
Them right there?
Yeah, it's amazing. So here's the thing: when I used it for the first time, it is the most relaxed I have felt in my 59 years of life.
You sleep with them? You go to sleep?
No. I will often use them though right before I go to sleep. The thing that's interesting is my mind's always racing, right? I've always got ideas bouncing around my head, and so it's hard to calm my mind.
Right.
What's interesting about this is I still have all the thoughts bouncing around, but after I do the 15-minute session or 20-minute session, my body's reaction to it is like this.
Hmm.
So I still have all the thoughts bouncing around, but my body's reaction is completely different. So it's stimulating your parasympathetic nervous system. I would say that's my most recent biohack
I like it.
that is game changing for me.
Yeah. And so you do it at night or in the morning?
Usually at night. I'll sometimes do it twice. What I'll do is I created my sort of my poor man version of what Lumati has, where I basically have a treadmill, um, a red light, and then the headphones. And so I'll basically walk on the treadmill while I'm having the red light and listening to a guided meditation with the vagus nerve. So I'll usually do that once, and then I'll do it again before I go to sleep. And when my wife tried it, because we just got it last week, beginning of last week, when she tried it for the first time, she said it was the best night's sleep of her life.
Wow.
So
What's the name of them?
it's by a company called Hulist. I'll send you a link to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're they're a little pricey. They're like $800, but I'm telling you, it's worth every penny.
Okay.
Noise cancellation and but the vagus nerve stimulation thing it's a game changer.
I would love to get that link because I'm always into how to get the most out of, like, I call myself a performance coach, like
Right.
maximize your performance as a human being. And so I'm always looking for new tricks. And sleep is one of those things.
You know what I should do?
Yeah.
I'll make an intro to you and the CEO of Lumati. They're here in, like I said, the San Diego area. And a lot of the stuff that Gary Braga, Dave Asprey, like came from a lot of the research that they're doing.
Okay.
And the guy's got he's got Gary Braga on speed dial. It's like, it's amazing. Like, he's
Oh.
showing me all the text between them. So it's like, these guys are legit. They have some very interesting technology, some of which, it's hard to tell. Some of which I know is effective. Other stuff, I think it's less proven. But for a guy who's really into like latest and greatest, being exposed to what they're doing would probably be useful.
I would love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything I can get me, squeeze every ounce out of my.
Have you seen those apps lately where, you take a picture of the food and it tells you the macros and the calories?
Yeah.
Those things are pretty good.
I use one of them. I'm not sure how accurate it is,
Yeah, it's hard to say for sure.
but yeah, I mean, that's even now. So I have the Meta glasses.
Okay, I was wondering if that's what those
I
were.
could, matter of fact, so you're live now. The extreme all over the world. Say what's up, everybody. This is Dave. But no, it it can tell me what I'm looking at, so I can. It's great. So just the other day, there's this thing in our washroom,
Right.
in our laundry room. It's like a vent, and there's a piece all the way at the top, and it was something like it was dripping, and I'd never seen it. It was like a condenser or something. I had no idea. And I looked at it, and I just said, "Hey, Meta, what is that thing up there that I'm looking at?" And they said, "Oh, Jarvis, that's the blah blah blah. It's used for this, this, this." And I say, "Okay, so do I need it? Like, because it's unplugged right now, and there's a weird smell. Is it coming from that thing?" No, it's not coming from. So literally, it sees what I see, and in the moment, it can give me a whole assessment. It's crazy. And so I mean, pretty soon that's AI is going to be. It's already embedded into,
No, it's not augmented reality. It's just right.
No, so it doesn't project anything.
Got it.
It's just a camera. So it's just looking at what you're looking at.
Okay.
And it's already being used for blind people. And so
Wow.
a blind person can walk across the street and they'll say, "Hey, Meta, I need help." And then so it'll tell you, "Okay, don't go yet. Okay, now you have the walk symbol. You can start walking." And so it now
Amazing.
becomes your eyes. So it's pretty crazy with the stuff that's coming down the pipe.
Yeah. Well, Jarvis, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story. I think it's super inspiring. If there's ever any way I could be helpful to you, man, please, you'll need only ask.
Yeah, man. I help put me through your program. Yeah,
Absolutely. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. I mean, like I said, I have a big vision, and the vision is that eventually Morning Hero becomes a software company. I mean, that's where the big exits are.
Yep.
It's where you can get the 10x multiple. And
The understanding how to think about the exit too and all the things you do in advance. To me, it's funny. I always say, because I've bought and sold 15 companies, and people don't understand that due diligence, the main purpose of due diligence is to lower the purchase price. You need to understand how to prepare for due diligence so that doesn't happen.
yeah, see, those are all things that as the visionary, that part of, I just think of how the hell can I help more people and scale the message to millions. And We've got a big vision, the morning hero, and software is going to be the biggest way, because right now it's a lot of brute force, hand to hand combat,
Yeah.
and we're moving into a more scalable model where it's app driven and technology driven, and so that people can win the day in the palm of their hand. And not only that, then it becomes data collection, because every day they're logging in and logging their habits, and they're it's like their coach in their pocket,
Right.
and so they're giving information on what they're struggling with, where they're excelling. And so then that data becomes valuable of like how we can now engineer success.
Hmm.
And so the vision for Morning Hero now is way bigger than just helping someone. It's like, how do we create a platform that then we can scale to millions and then turn it into a B2C play as well. I mean, a B2B play where we're licensing it to companies. So the vision is there, but me myself, I am just the attractive character
Yeah.
on the front end. Like, I just want to be in front of the world, showing them how much better their life could be when they start waking up early, carving out an hour to set their intentions, and they build every damn day consistency. When you do that, not 30 days from now, your life will be unrecognizable. And the moment someone has that belief, they get brought in and we can transform them into heroes.
How many people are in your community, if you don't mind me asking?
So we have thousands. We have an online community.
Right.
We have hundreds in our programs
Got
that
it.
are actually actively going through. We have like a 90-day transformation program. So
Okay.
if anyone wants to officially become a morning hero and they want to go through the process, we have a 90-day transformation. And then they kind of have an official graduation and get
Yeah.
a pin, and they get their swag, and they officially get their cape.
Okay. They get a cape.
Yeah, we're rolling that out. Okay, there's a cohort in there now that they'll officially get a cape, like they officially get their superpowers. But we have an online community where we have thousands in the online community.
So Jarvis, where can people find you?
Instagram, best place.
Yep.
And so I'm funneling everything I do. I believe in show people. You have to be the example, and so I do that on Instagram. I put my life out there on Instagram, um, where people can see in real world what I'm doing every day to win the day and how they can win the day too. And so I would say go to the.morninghero on Instagram is the best place to find me.
Excellent. Thanks again for coming on, man.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed it.